welcome back to UFOs Above Us. All right, today I'm going to take a quick break from the North Texas UFO series and do a moon anomaly follow-up. And I like to continue doing some of these. So this is the picture we're going to study today. And I'm just going to point out some of the features. And I could spend 30 minutes on this one picture, as now that I can get these high-resolution images of the moon. I mean, there's no end to what we could look at structure-wise or anomaly-wise, but we'll just focus on some areas. So let's look at that area I'm pointing at there. And there's some kind of unusual things about it. You know, this little white area, this odd white structure, when I zoom it in, I'm going to show you here, it's kind of reminds me of something, and I'll let you figure out what it might remind you of with those two dots and the raised area between the two dots. What is it? Is there anything that makes you think of? And I'll leave that up to you. And below that area, you can see this interesting shapes. Look at the crater itself. Does that not look segmented to you? I mean, if this is supposed to be, if NASA tells us this is caused by a meteor impact, then what are all these things doing in there? Why is the rim on one side of it look like a hexagram or an octagram or something like that? So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, thinking people aren't going to buy into the whole that was a meteor strike. Look at it, y'all. If those aren't structures, I'll eat my hat. Of course, I'm not wearing one, but I mean, be honest. Those are structures. And we're going to study that one in particular a little closer today, and I've spent a lot of time kind of fine-tuning it. But look at these other things first. Like that, you might say that's a small crater. Well, then why is that open end on it? Why is there an open end on this one? You know, they're not full craters. They look like they're purpose-built rings with openings. And so it just doesn't fit the narrative that I'm hearing from NASA of a meteor strike. It's not even logical. So it's just ridiculous. But let's look at some of these others on this picture just for fun, and then we'll spend a little more time with blow-ups on that one crater. So just looking at some of the other features in this that jump out to me is this one. And I've looked at that structure before. This one right here looks awful hexagon shaped, and it's sticking up into the sun where everything else is shaded. So what is that? What is it? You know, it looks almost like a doorway or something sticking up into the sun. And then just looking at some other areas, there's a lot of things we could focus on here. But to keep it, time-wise, so we don't go too long on this, let's look at things like that reminds me of kind of an arrow sign and all these craters again, and just all these features. If this is supposed to be regolith from a meteor strike, why are they all such identifiable structures? When I zoom it in, look at that whole wall and look at all the structures. Look at that odd thing with the 3 points sticking up on one end. But look at all these. Does that look like just random chance, or do those look like buildings or some kind of intelligent design? And then look outside the crater, you see the same thing. So now as we start doing some zoom ins, we'll just kind of focus on these craters and get a better look at them. And I think it's pretty clear. I mean, if you look at the shadow in the center of this picture, and you look, I mean, that's the shadow of a giant building. And then if you look with this real zoom in, look what's mounted to the back side, the shadow side of that building. Those two balls that we were seeing, they look like light sources. Here's a better look at it. Look at those. It looks kind of like the letter J, some giant tube with two light sources sticking out of it. So I just wonder, is that some kind of an energy source to generate power on the moon? And is that a giant building? And I'll leave that up to you. My opinion is it certainly looks like it to me. But it's certainly not just a meteor strike, in my opinion. But I'll leave that up to you. Make up your own mind. Make up your own opinion. So for UFOs Above Us, like I always wrap up, I'm going to remind you, keep watching the skies, share your results. Our answers are up there.